Hello everybody and welcome to another great gameplay video. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Not that there's that many gameplay videos on the channel, but this one is going to be playtesting. So my partner Aaron and I printed out some new decks, and these are 6 new heroes, technically new, that I've been working on a little bit, and they have some sort of design and strategy and cohesiveness. So in this video we're going to play through them. So when I start talking about cards, I hope you can bear with me because I know most of them, and I have them up actually right beside me, but some of them I don't know totally by heart yet, especially because some of them are going through changes of their own. So I'm playing Morgan, Balthazar, and Twyla. These are kind of like 3 best friends that grew up in nobility. And then Besh, Ayla, and Frosk are all the other side of this bad guy team. So these are 6 heroes that are meant to work together, and they're on the same team and same archetype. So they have the same game plan, but we decided to play everybody new at once. So we were playing a little bit slower on both ends. And yeah, so I start with Morgan. Morgan's friendly, and so her ability is, while your Tenacity total is 2 or less, summons you control get +1 attack when attacking non-hero cards. So Morgan is all about summoning the undead and buffing them to be able to dismantle your opponent's board that they're building up, while you can also see the overall strategy, the archetype that is these bad guys, quote unquote. So we're both going to try to make our Tenacity total be equal to 2 or less in various ways. And what that means is that the total cost of our Tenacity for each card in it is 2 or less, and that's very, very low. So I start off with 2 enhancements with Judgment as well as Reclamation. Reclamation generates resources when I exhaust other cards I control. And Judgment makes it so if my Tenacity total is 2 or less, I get +1 armor. I switch into Balthazar, and then Erin takes her turn where she is playing as Besh. And Besh's ability, he really likes curse cards. These are enhancements that are played to the opponent's side. So I believe that's Cowardice or Cowering that she played, and that's immediately played to my side, and that provides me basically a debuff that I have to do some work to get rid of. So Cowering says, play this under your opponent's control. You're active, then they control it, and so the opponent gets active heroes get -1 attack and -1 armor. And to get rid of that, I have to exhaust my active hero to discard it. So I have to pay a cost to get rid of these curses. She then goes ahead and plays I believe that's Mind Maze, which allows her to draw some card at the cost of her Tenacity getting -1 cost this turn, which is totally fine. It's really good, actually. That card should probably be taken and looked at. And then she goes ahead and equips the wand, the cursed horn, to Besh, which says affinity for each curse in play, he gets +1 attack. And curses you play enter play exhausted. So that's really good because it basically makes it so they can't be removed the turn they come out. She makes a swing at my Reclamation, I believe, and then I can block that pretty easily with the card in my Tenacity. So she's going to try to build up some curses and keep her Tenacity quite low, and it's very low right now because she played Mind Maze. And so what she's going to do now is she is going to play the Infinite Fists. And Infinite Fists says if your Tenacity total is 2 or less, it costs 1 less, so it makes it free. And then you get to prepare your active hero. This comes out of Frosk's kit. The experienced cards, those are all the orange one, which basically Frosk gets a really high attack while your Tenacity total is low, and then you can prepare him and make multiple attacks. But it also works with Ayla and Besh because they also like making basic attacks. She follows up with another curse, and that is, let me find it real quick. Looks like Soul Tether? No, Counterspell, which means automatically when I play a card from my hand, it's going to cancel that effect, and I'm going to discard that card. And that's the only way to get rid of it. She then makes another attack with Besh, and it's increased now because she's played a curse. So I decide to play Kneel for me, which allows me to free play a summon card from my discard pile that costs 3 or less. So I play this Abomination here, which is a summon card, and that's a new card that we're trying to implement into the game right now, and we're playtesting it, where they have their own attack, armor, and stamina values. So this will bring the summon card into play, and then it will become the target of that attack, which is, I believe, 4. 3, which is just enough to destroy the Abomination, and so we're just making sure that the math adds up there. Summon cards right now, pretty loose on the rulings. I'll probably go over that in a dev diary at some point, or it's already on the channel, but those are something that I want to implement for specifically friendly heroes. But they're not in the right place right now. But just know when I put one out, I'll have to attach cards from my Tenacity to them to kind of power them up and give them some sort of life. And they can also attack and defend in some way, shape, or form. So we'll go over that if it happens. Aaron then switches to Frosk, and Frosk is really, really cool. So we'll go hopefully over him when it becomes Aaron's turn again. And here we messed up 2 things. One, we forgot to get Erin her stamina cards, so that's what she did there. And Counterspell also should have come in exhausted, but that's actually to its detriment. So there's some non-synergy there between Besh and the Counterspell. Okay, so we're going to go to my turn, and we're just talking over what we can do and what's possible. And I play a tricky card called Crescendo. This costs 0. So this is an attack that deals 3 damage, which is super good. 0 for 3 damage is incredible. That's a premium for the tricky heroes. And it says, if your Tenacity total is 2 or less, this card cannot be parried. But because we thought that the Counterspell was still in play, the Crescendo was canceled and discarded due to the Counterspell's auto effect, discarding both the Counterspell and Crescendo. Then I really want to get rid of this curse on me as fast as possible. So I exhaust my active hero to pay for the cowering curse's cost, basically, to discard it. Then I activate Reclamation to generate a resource, and I do that by exhausting Judgment, which actually doesn't need to exhaust for its effect. It's just a passive effect. And that allows me to equip Balthazar's Rapier to him. I switch into Twyla, and here in a moment, I'm sure I will remember to ready my Judgment and Reclamation enhancements. It goes Aaron's turn, and she's playing Frosk, and Frosk's ability is that while your combo Tenacity line, oh my goodness, Tenacity total is 2 or less, he gets +2 attack. Otherwise, whenever you play a card, you can discard a card from your Tenacity to draw a card. So right now, her Tenacity total is more than 2 or less. So she's going to play the Abyssal Crush, which deals damage and then deals damage, additional damage equal to your hero's attack. And what she can do is she can choose to discard that card if she, due to the card's effect, to draw a card instead of placing it into her Tenacity. But she's going to place it in there because she's got a plan, I think. It might be this turn or the next turn, but... So she swings at me, I take the life, and I get to place the top card of my deck into my, stamina, into my Tenacity because I revealed a friendly card off the top. She then takes a swing at my Reclamation with Frosk, dealing 2 damage, but I parry it with the card in my Tenacity that I just got there from taking a stamina card. I don't know if it's in the last video, but one of the rules we're also trying is when you reveal a stamina card, depending on the type of card that is, you get a beneficial effect. We're also playing around with something called a critical hit, but we don't really play with it here because it's something that's a little too finicky right now. So she switches out from Frosk into Ayla, and Ayla's a very strong angry hero, which we'll go over hopefully she gives us time. We're all moving pretty quick here. Because Ayla's also very cool. So it goes to my turn, and I want to play Bad Blood. And so Bad Blood is a song card that'll sit in play, and it'll kind of eat at my Tenacity the longer it stays in play. But this makes it so enemy attack cards cost 1 resource to play, and at the end of my turn, I have to either discard Bad Blood, so the song itself, or I can discard 1 card from my Tenacity to not do that. So I use the Reclamation to help pay for Twyla's mic. And Twyla's mic is her signature weapon, and her mic allows her to, let me go find it right here. When I make a basic attack, I can exhaust a song. That way I don't have to pay its cost to keep it up. And while my Tenacity total is 2 or less, the highest printed cost card in each tenacity gets -1 cost. So my tenacity total is 2 or less, and I believe Aaron's is close, but not so. Oh, it is actually. So I decided to keep Twyla in play. After I rest her, I bring her back into play because all of my heroes were exhausted, so I get to choose one of those to put back in play because they're all ready, and I choose Twyla to put back because I want to keep this bad blood up as long as possible to stop any aggression that's going to come from Aaron's side. Ayla's super cool. I really like Ayla. Her ability is passively, all your cards get -1 cost in your tenacity, so she's not a good parrier. But while your tenacity total is 2 or less, all characters you control get +1 attack. So she works really well with summon characters like Morgan, because she buffs everybody. And so right now, you can think of all of Aaron's cards have -1 cost in her tenacity. So she's at 2 or less, meaning everything is active for her. So she's going to play one of Ayla's cards, which is that Acornic Wrath? It is. It costs 2, but it costs 1 less because of the affinity keyword, and it deals 4 damage. And while her tenacity total is 2 or less, it's a critical hit, meaning when I reveal a stamina card, when it hits, I won't trigger its beneficial effect. I'll just discard it. But I choose to parry it, and life is good. So at this point, Aaron's tenacity total is, I believe, 3, so she doesn't actually get it. And I have +1 armor from my judgment because my tenacity total is 2 or less as well. So I'm in a pretty defensive position. And actually, Aaron had to spend 1 additional card because of bad blood. Bad blood makes it so her attack cards cost 1 more. So it didn't cost 1, it actually cost 2, leaving her with 1 card in hand. So she tries to attack me, but realizes she doesn't have the attack for it, and she instead attacks Judgment. And I can't really parry with it with cards in hand, so she's able to destroy it. Now I don't have that extra armor. She then uses the last card in her hand, and she consumes it so she can play her I think Blood Rot Acorns is what they're called, or Great Oak Acorns, excuse me, from her Armory. This card is insane. It definitely needs to be brought down a little bit. This is Ayla's weapon, and the idea is that she can discard up to 3 cards from her tenacity that are face up, and for each one she does, depending on their cost, she gets a beneficial effect. So in this situation, it should say exhaust, but it doesn't, so we won't actually exhaust it, but it's essentially a once per turn ability. So she chooses to discard a 3 cost, but because of Ayla's ability, it's actually has -1 cost. So when you discard a 2 cost with your Great Oak Acorns weapon, you prepare your active hero. And now that she's gotten rid of that large costed card, she now has +1 attack from Ayla's passive ability, and now she can attack for 4. So she's kind of swinged it in her favor in this way because she took away my judgment, which was giving me armor, and gained attack by discarding cards from her tenacity. So I decided to take the hit, and that is a Brave card, if I'm not mistaken, which gives me +1 armor until my next turn, which not super helpful in this way because she's already done all of her attacks. So now she is going to retreat, and because everybody is exhausted in her inactive area, she's going to ready everybody, and now she can choose anybody she wants. Besh still doesn't have his weapon, and I don't think he'll get it this time around. I think she gets it a little too late for it to really matter, but yeah, that last card you see on the top of the screen there that she just moved to the side is her Armory, and we play face up just so we can remind each other while we're testing, hey, you can equip that, hey, you should do that now or later or whatever. So she's going to put Frosk into play, and Frosk is looking at her tenacity, which is currently 4, so whenever she plays a card, she can discard a card as well from her tenacity, a face-up card, I think, and then she'll be able to draw a card. So Frosk is really good at cleaning up your tenacity and making it really small and low, but at the cost of losing defense. So we still don't know if this is a good thing, but it's a thing. So I'm going to play a summon card. This is kind of the premier one, the one I knew I wanted to make the second we came up with Morgan, and this is her Skeletal Servant. It has 2 attack and 1 armor, and it's got 1 stamina. So just like a player, whenever you deal damage to a summon, if it's unparried and unblocked, you will remove a stamina card from it, and when it has 0, it's discarded. It also says on defeat, I can discard a face-up 0 cost card in my tenacity, and then I can resummon that card. But it enters play exhausted, so it can keep coming back. I swing with Twyla here. And when I do that, I'm swinging for 4 right now, which is quite a lot, but And Erin takes it. Lucky me, wow. She reveals a blue card out of her Tenacity, which means she gets to draw a card. That's the trigger ability from a blue stamina card. Then I get to... I'm going to just discard the rest of the cards in my hand. I don't really want to play anything. I exhausted with my mic Bad Blood, the song in play, so I don't have to discard it or a card in my Tenacity to keep it from going away. I put in Balthazar because I counted the cards in my deck and I saw that I had 5 left, so I can draw a full hand of 5 before having to recycle my deck and take a free stamina. Erin then plays another Acornic Wrath. Acornic Wrath is a pretty good card, pretty good. And so because she's playing a card, she can activate Frosk's ability if she so chooses, and meaning she can discard a face-up card to draw a card. Remember, Acornic Wrath costs 2, but it actually costs 3 because of my Bad Blood song in play, which increases the cost of attack cards. So in this case, she just kind of dumps her entire hand, except for 1, and then she chooses she's going to potentially discard a card. So that's what we're going over now. Acornic Wrath deals 4 damage, and if your Tenacity total is 2 or less, it becomes a critical hit. So, because she uses Frosk's ability, she can now draw a card because she discarded a card from her Tenacity when she played a card, and now she has a Tenacity total of 2 or less, meaning this is a critical hit. But she's not doing it to me, she's doing it to the Bad Blood song enhancement I have. And I say, yep, cool, go for it. I don't have anything to defend this with. And one thing we're trying to figure out is what critical hits mean in this game. I'll have definitely a dev diary going over it because I think there's room for it in a way that doesn't add an entirely new mechanic to the game, but actually like supplements it. But that's, I think, a topic for a different time. She then follows up with Bloodrot Bark, and this comes from actually her taking a life from drawing a card and then also discarding cards for Frosk's ability. So she was able to play this pretty luckily, and she decides because she's playing a card, she's going to do the same thing here and discard a card. Or not, I guess we'll see. But Bloodrot Bark is a 1-cost angry attack meant for, comes from Ayla's kit. And it says deal 3 damage, which is fine, it's okay, it's whatever. She can discard 1 card from her Tenacity, which she's doing right now, and this attack deals additional damage equal to the top card of her discard pile. So she's going to add, I believe that's 2, so this is a total of 5 damage. If I'm not mistaken, right? That's Abyssal Crush that she's put in, and so yeah, so she deals 3 damage for the base attack, and then because she discarded a card due to Bloodrot Bark's ability, she's going to deal 5 damage now in total, and she's going to do it towards Reclamation, which is pretty intense. Like, that's way overkill, but she is depleting all of the board that I've built. I think there is a discussion to be had on whether or not enhancements and those can be attacked, because you want to build up over time, but you don't want it to become just I hit you, you hit me. Like, we want to make decisions when we deal damage to something. So she decides she's going to swing because she only has 2 attack right now, because her Tenacity total is more than 2 or more, which it's actually not. I think she just wanted to get rid of the Skeletal Servant because we didn't know how summons would work, and so we decided, yeah, let's just kill him on sight and see what happens and see if that's fun or not. And that servant did not last long. Oh yeah, she only had 2 attack because her Tenacity total was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, you can see that she's kind of broken down my board, and that's cool and fun, but it's really easy, and it's up to me to defend it. So yeah, I don't know. There's definitely something to be discussed there on if that should be possible or otherwise. So here she's going to switch into Ayla, and she has to recycle her deck, meaning she takes a life. She reveals an experienced orange card out of life, which says she can exhaust a card I control, and so she exhausts my hero, meaning I can't really make an attack next turn, even though I have my rapier. Balthazar is cool. I think he could be better, but he's pretty cool. He's got his passive ability is that while your Tenacity total is 2 or less, you can look at your opponent's top stamina card, which is only okay. It's okay. It just gives you a little bit of knowledge of what's going to happen when you attack. It's also critical hits here matter. So I looked at the top card and I knew it was a 3 cost, I think. So I'm trying to bluff myself here, and I'm going to play Crescendo again, which is a 3 cost attack that says that I'm trying to say, hey, I know the top card and it's a 0 cost, so I'm going to try to critical hit it so that way you lose it. but she decides to defend against it. And then I go in for the kill, and I play 3, and I play Champion's Howl. And so this one says, deals 4 damage? Champion's Howl says deal 4 damage if your tenacity total is 2 or less. Defense cards are consumed during this attack. So I knew that she had a 3 on the top, so I was trying to go for a critical hit here by baiting out her defense cards for Crescendo, and then trying to stop her from playing more defense cards with this Champion's Howl, but she doesn't take the bait. She goes for the consumption, or she takes the consumption. I don't get a hit or a critical hit, so she weathered the storm no problem. So yeah, Balthazar's final ability, is that 3-cost cards don't... printed 3-cost cards in your tenacity don't count towards your tenacity total. So they don't count towards your ultimate, and they don't count towards cards that care about that, but they can still be parried with. So he's really, really good for the defensive part, and that's the point of Brave characters. I switch into Morgan, and I have to recycle my deck. I reveal a green card, which means I have to place the top card of my deck into my tenacity, and it's insane. It's Abomination. It's a 3-cost, and I was like, oh man, that's really strong. But that's kind of the point. The idea is that when you take a stamina card, you are getting hurt and getting attacked, and so you're meant to get kind of more defensive abilities to kind of try to help you from stop taking further attacks, if that makes sense. It goes over to Erin's turn. She's got the Blood Rot Bark, and she's activating its ability right now, which should exhaust, but unfortunately I forgot to write it on the card, and we just said, okay, it's fine, we'll know. She goes ahead and discards, discards a 0-cost card, because remember, Ayla gives all cards in her tenacity -1 cost, and so when she does that, it says, when you discard a 0-cost card, just draw a card, which is quite powerful. So remember, Ayla's ability costs... gives -1 cost all cards in her tenacity. So she has a tenacity total of 1 right now. All of her 1-cost cards cost 0, and her 2-cost card costs 1. So she's sitting pretty right now. There's kind of like I think I said earlier, I wish the acorns were a little bit better with her, because the last one, all basic attacks are critical hits when you discard a 3-cost or less from your tenacity. I think that could be better. I think the only really difference the card needs is that it needs to when you discard a card, you count its printed cost, not its like modified cost. So here she plays another curse on me, which is called Sluggish. Is that what that is? Sluggish? It's hard for me to see. Why is it so hard for me to see? No, just Cowering again, which gives me -1 attack and -1 armor. And because she has Ayla's ability active, she gets +1 attack, and I have -1 armor. And so she swings at me for 4, but I parry for 3, and all is right in the world. She's then going to retreat Ayla, and she's going to put out Besh. And because Besh has 1 curse out, he is going to have at least +1 attack. So I have to deal with this pretty quickly, which is totally fine. I've got Morgan out, so I can exhaust her to deal with that curse. Each curse has a different way that it's meant to be removed from your board. Counterspell, you have to run into it. It has to be countered. Whatever thing you play has to be nullified. Cowering makes you want to exhaust your active hero, and the other ones I don't know if we'll see it, but I will point them out when we get to them. So I play another Skeletal Servant, and because my tenacity total is 2 or less, Morgan's ability is online, meaning it can attack non-hero cards for +1 damage, but she doesn't have any that I can attack at least, so that's unfortunate. I take one of the last cards in my hand, and I consume it to play Morgan's signature staff. It's the Necro Staff, and it says she gets +1 attack when attacking non-hero cards as well. So she's supposed to be good at dismantling them, but we can't attack cards we control. So unfortunately, I can't attack this curse to try to deal with it because it's under my control. So I have to exhaust Morgan to get rid of that. The staff also has an ability that says you can exhaust it after a non-hero card is defeated to attach that card to a summon you control as stamina. So the more you destroy, the more your stamina, the more your cards stay out, or your summons stay out, excuse me. Then I'm gonna play another song, and all of Twyla's songs are very strong. So I'm gonna play Bad Blood again, which makes it so enemy attack cards cost 1 more resource to play. And then I finish finally with Crescendo, which deals 3 damage. And if my Tenacity total is 2 or less, which it is, this card cannot be parried. So she has to take the life or play a defense card. So my board is building again. I think that's the point of my side, is to build persistent cards to stay in play and gain value. And so she is going to take the life here, and it's a red card, an angry card. And when you trigger a red card, you're going to put it into your Tenacity. At the end of my turn, when I rest Morgan, I have to activate Bad Blood's auto effect, which means I have to either discard it or a card from my Tenacity. I also I want to exhaust Morgan before I rest to get rid of the Cowering curse that's on me. And so I choose to discard just one of the face down cards to keep Bad Blood up. And I'll go over this when we go over Twyla's hero kit in the spotlight, but all of her songs right now are just like Taylor Swift songs because she's modeled after Taylor Swift. I think her whole name is an anagram of it. So there's some deep cut lore or Easter eggs. And then I put out Twyla. I ready everybody again, and I know I want to go on the offensive this time because I have a song in play. I want to keep it in play as much as possible. And I have a servant in play, which kind of will hopefully take a hit for me. Aaron then chooses to play another curse. All of Besh's cards are curses right now. All of them are. And I believe she's going to play Fatigued. And Fatigued says when whoever has this curse plays a card, they discard the top 2 cards of their deck. And I have to flip the top card of my stamina face up to discard it. And so then we realize, the horn's in play, and that means it's exhausted. So even though I can flip a card of my stamina face up, I can't exhaust it as part of the cost. So this will stay in play during my turn and then during her next turn. So that Cursed Horns ability is incredibly powerful on curses like this that are easy to get rid of, but are really painful when they sit out for long. But that's the point of Besh. She's meant to keep curses in play and kind of thrive off of your opponent being in a bad spot. So at this point, now she's going to play Abyssal Crush. This is a 2-cost experience attack that deals 1 damage and then deals additional damage equal to her active hero's attack. So her active hero has 2 attacks, so we're going to deal 3 here. I take the life. And unfortunately, I have to take that because I don't have any other way to defend it. My Tenacity has 0 cards to parry with. So I'm forced to take this. My hand size is 3. And then she chooses to ultimate me. And I say, yep, there's literally nothing I can do about that. And so I flip a friendly card and I trigger its positive effect, which is to add the top card of my deck to my Tenacity face up. And right here, she has a 2 attack because of the single curse in play, and thanks to the Horn's ability, which gives her +1 from that. So she goes for the Servant, and I say, the Servant's not really worth keeping around. And I decide to take the hit and then just let it go. So I could discard a 0-cost face-up card to bring it back, but I realize there's nothing it can even attack because it's only got 2 attack, I believe. So I decided not to discard the Crescendos. And you hesitate card in my Tenacity. Aaron's going to go ahead and rest Besh, but because everybody is exhausted, she gets to ready all of them, and then she puts Besh back into play because she smells blood at this point. And even more sinister, which is not super clear here if you're not familiar with the cards, but because Fatigue says I have to flip the top card of my stamina face up to reveal it, I actually don't have any stamina left to do that, so this Fatigued curse is going to stay in play for the rest of the game, however long that goes. I decided to just make a basic attack with Twyla for 4 damage, and then the mic I will have exhaust the Bad Blood song, which is just the mic's ability, and now it gives anything in the Tenacity that's the highest cost -1, which really hurts me, I guess. I mean, it really doesn't, but it really doesn't do anything besides just make it so I don't have to pay for the Bad Blood card. She's gonna play Mind. What is that? Mind Maze? No, that is Maze's Embrace, which prevents 2 damage, and if her Tenacity total is 2 or less, she gets +1 armor for the rest of the turn and draws a card. So it's incredibly powerful. I choose to play a second Bad Blood, which is pretty great, and I don't remember why that came in exhausted. Oh, it didn't. I actually just had to discard a card for its effect. So Twyla is meant to be a little bit less good at keeping songs in play than Melody. They both have the same gimmick, but the idea is that Twyla is always churning out new hits, and so she wants to kind of churn through her songs a little bit quicker, and she doesn't really want to keep them as much in play. But I don't think that really comes across in the kit yet, so something to discuss in her spotlight, because yeah, this is like the characters' like first iterations. Aaron starts with another curse. I believe that's another fatigued. Oh no. Oh god, it's even worse. It's a sluggish. Sluggish is a 3-cost curse that says cards that I play cost 1 additional resource. So that's pretty brutal. And it enters exhausted because of the cursed horn. So it's just bad news bears for me on my side. These curses are adding up. I can't get rid of them easily at all. And but it costs a lot. So hopefully at this point she doesn't have many more attack cards, which is good. So they're hard to play because I've got 2 bad bloods in play, which means they cost 2 additional resources. So we're really restricting all the cards we can play. But because there are 2 curses in play at this point, Besh now has 3 attack and he can swing at Balthazar no problem, forcing me to play Kneel for me, which says I get to summon a summon card that costs 3 or less from my discard pile for free. And because of the fatigue that's in play, every time I play a card, I have to discard the top 2 cards in my deck. A little helpful for me in this very specific situation, but overall pretty bad because I don't want to recycle my deck. But even in this case, at the end of the game, it doesn't really matter. So it's an interesting. It's interesting because it matters and it doesn't. Yeah, that's interesting. So I summon the Abomination, which has 4 stamina, and so I attach 4 cards from my Tenacity to it, and I put the Kneel for me defense card into my Tenacity, and now I'm suited up. I'm ready to go. That Abomination is really strong with 4 attack, 3 armor, and 4 stamina, but it can't attack unless you discard 2 stamina cards from it. So it sounds good at first, but it's only okay. I think that it could use a little bit of a buff, but I think overall summons need a little bit more help in general and a little bit more definition in what they're there for. Because they could just be more things to make attacks and more characters to make attacks. I find that very uninteresting, but giving them a purpose is probably something that I'm trying to find right now, and I'm trying to figure out what that purpose should be, because they're not enhancements, they're not heroes, they're just like supports, if that makes sense. So here I use Balthazar's ability to take a look at the top of her stamina to see if I can make a critical hit somewhere. Remember, Balthazar's ability is that my printed 3-cost cards in my Tenacity don't count towards my total. So my Tenacity total is only 2, even though I have a lot more defensive abilities for parrying with that Kneel from me as well. So I make a swing for 4 with my Abomination, and remember I have to discard 2 stamina cards from it to actually make that attack. So after this attack, it can't attack anymore, it can only defend. She plays another Maze's Embrace, which prevents 2 damage, which is just perfect for the situation. And then she gets to draw a card if her Tenacity total is 2 or less. I'm going to double check that right here. Yes, and she gets +1 armor for the rest of the turn, so pretty insane. Luckily, I have the Rapier attached to Balthazar, giving him +1 attack. That's 3 attack, because remember, all Brave characters only have 2. But I can also exhaust it on a basic attack, discard a 3-cost or more card for my Tenacity, and then I get +1 more attack, and it's a critical hit. So I'm hitting for 4 here on her 4 armor. Unfortunately, she has the ability to parry this, so there's not much of a threat here. Yeah, there she goes. So she's going to just parry for 1, and that's it. Otherwise, she can play another defense card if she so chooses. But she decides to take it, and then I said, yep, that's a critical hit. Get it out of here. You can see my hand waving, but we were trying to think, okay, that's cool. I think she had a plan for this. I think she was trying to build up her Tenacity to do an ultimate, which is why she didn't take it. But we were talking about it after the game of like, we could have blocked it. Is that the right thing to do? Probably, whatever. When I rest Balthazar, I have to pay for my bad bloods by discarding them or a card in my Tenacity. But because I'm pretty much dead, I decide to just let them go, meaning she has full reign to play all sorts of attack cards for no longer a poor value. And I think I already did, but I'm pretty sure I paid, for that kneel for me, I had to pay 1 additional because of the soul tether, that curse that's on me. So I basically had to use my whole hand to block, or sluggish, excuse me, not soul tether. I'm in a pretty bad spot. I have to pay 1 extra for cards. I just drew all 7 of my cards. It's bad news bears for ya boy. She's still got 1 life left, and I'm in a pretty bad position. I have no way to attack with this abomination. I have a full hand of cards, but they all cost 1 more. And she's right now on the aggression because Ayla has +1 attack because her tenacity total is 2 or less. And yeah, that's bad news bears. So she's going to attack for 4 here. And luckily I have the... So I shuffled my deck, drawing a new grip. I have the card in my Tenacity to parry, and so now I'm going to look for any defense cards in my hand, and I do. I have You Hesitate. This is one of Twyla's cards that costs 0, which is very good, which says I get to prevent 1 damage or 3 damage instead if my Tenacity total is 2 or less. And then because I played a card, I have to activate the Cowardice's auto ability, meaning I discard the top 2 cards of my deck. So now it's just up to what is in Erin's hand. I'm not in a good spot. I've had to play a card. I'm discarding cards from the top of my deck. It's a whole thing. So she's going to activate her acorns, her acorn weapon. She's going to discard a 0-cost card from her Tenacity. Remember, Ayla gives -1 cost to all cards in her Tenacity, so it's not a 1 cost. It's actually a 0 cost because of its modification. So she resets her deck. She flips her stamina card because if she's recycling her decks, recycle. And she's going to put that into her Tenacity because that's what you do when you flip an angry card. So at this point, it's either does she have only 1 small attack or does she have 1 large attack? That would be bad. I don't believe I have any defense cards in my hand anymore. And she goes for an Abyssal Crush again, which deals 1 plus her active hero's attack, which is 4 because of Ayla's ability that says while she has a Tenacity total of 2 or less, she gets +1 attack. And 4 is enough. I have no way to defend it. And Erin takes this game again. It was very well played. She played it, I think very, very well. I would have liked to see maybe more use of the other enhancements because there were quite a few cards that we didn't even get to see. That I think just because it was our first time playing, we were kind of going back to the ones that we already knew on both of our sides. I really wish I could have utilized the summons better. I probably should also have figured out how to use Morgan more effectively because she effectively was just a large hand size with no real upside. And I wasn't able to take advantage of the summons that she put in play. So there's a lot to talk about here as far as playtest. Like what come out of this playtest. And so you can ignore anything on screen right now. We're just talking about all the stuff that we could have done or did do or whatever that seems cool. So we're just having a little after game talk. A lot of the stuff that Balthazar had seemed relatively unhelpful at the time. You can see I didn't really play many of his cards. And in fact, I played mostly green and tricky and friendly cards from Morgan and Twyla. And that's because Balthazar's abilities all stem around playing 3-cost cards into your Tenacity and kind of not caring about that as far as like the overall archetype of having a low Tenacity number, that 2 or less. But because everything costs 3, there's this really awkward cycle where you play a 3-cost, it doesn't really do a ton, and that's it. It just, you use your whole hand to do that and you kind of move on and you don't really develop much. So a lot to go over here in terms of balancing, but this is how it starts. And this is exactly how it starts. I get some ideas, I come up with cards and the idea of a team, and then we put it into paper and we play it and we say, ooh, that wasn't fun, or ooh, I like the idea here, or this is useless, or there's no point in this, less harsh, but overall that's the idea. Is what did we do, what felt cool, what worked accidentally, and what worked not at all. And I think in this video, I also kind of figured out a few more things that didn't work and did work pretty well. So it's just a matter of making a few changes, trying again, and then eventually getting to a spot where the cards are fun to play and it works. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much if you made it to the end of this video. It's a long one, but I really enjoy gameplay videos like this. They're a lot, I know, but I had a really good time. So thank you so much for watching. Wherever you are in the world, have a great day, night, morning, weekend, work day, whatever it is. And I hope to see you in the next one. See ya.